Hello, today I'll show you how to make a tic-tac-toe scoring system in Scratch. As you can see, this is a tic-tac-toe game with a scoring system. And if O wins, then 1 will go to O. But if X wins, like this, then X will get 1. So let's get started. First, go into your tic-tac-toe game and set the X position to 30. As you can see, now it will go up. Now, create two new variables named O score for all sprites and X score for all sprites. For all sprites. Now, set X and O score to 0, and when green flag clicked, of course, and then when I receive O, change O score by 1, and when I receive X score, then change X score by 1. Now paint a new sprite named Player Turn. Use the box tool, but before that go to backdrop, select the background, and then go back. Now use the box tool and create a box. Make it a slightly darker color of the background, like that, and make it a good size, about 190 times 73, something like this, as you can see. Now duplicate it, but before that, name it P1, and then the duplicate would be named P2. Now paint a new costume named 1. Use the text tool, make the fill white, and make it any font. I'll make it Pixel. Now type in 1, and then duplicate, and then do 2, 3, and then all the way till 9. Now at 9, we duplicate it one more time, name it 0, and then type in 0. Now in part 1, player 1, we first go back to tie, select the circle, copy, pastel it, make it a good size, and yes, and now place it in a good spot. Now go back to tie, and then this time select the X, copy, pastel into part 2, player 2, or P2, and then place it here. Now back in the code, when I receive start, create a new block named create clone, and run without screen refresh. Then we create two new variables named effect for this sprite only, and then effect value for all sprites. And then after you created both of these, then do hide, and then before that we set effect to 100. Now when I receive reset, then delete this clone. Now create two new variables named ID for this sprite only, and digit also for this sprite only. Now, set digit to 0, set ID to in1. Now, repeat 10 times, change digit by 1, and create a clone of myself. Duplicate this, name it in2, also known as number 2, and then duplicate set ID and create a clone of myself, and then we do set ID to P1, player 1, duplicate it, player 2, and then set digit to 0. Now, when I start as a clone, forever, if else ID contains in, then set size to grid times 1.25 actually. Now, we do a if else in a if else. If ID equals in1, then you will do first a go to, and then digit times 14 plus negative 165, and then y will be negative 142. Now in the if, we do a less than, and then we do length of O score less than digit, and then we hide. Else we show, and before that switch costume to letter digit of O score. Now, we duplicate this and place it in the else, and then this time replace the O score with X score, length of X score, and letter digit of X score. Now, in this other else, but before we do that else, we go to forward by 1 layer. Now, set size to grid in the else of ID contains in, and then show, and then switch costume to grid to player, to ID, and then if else, and then equals ID equals P1, then we go to negative 140, and the else is 140, negative 140. Now, under all of that, we do go to back, and then another if else actually, if else, an or, and then in the right, in the right, click equals 2, and then in the left we will do equals, and then letter 2 of ID equals player turn, and then set effect value to 0, else set to 65, and then set ghost to effect, change effect by a divide by 5, and then a subtract, and then effect value subtracted by effect divided by 5. And also make sure that this is by grid, and also make sure this is for the, and also make sure that in the if id contains in, and then a if id equals in 1, and then in the else, digit times 14 plus 115. Now if you test it, as you can see, there's the O here, and if O wins, then it will do that. But if X wins, if X wins, then X will get a point, as you can see, and O will get a point if O wins. Now you have a nice score system in Scratch. Thank you for watching and have a fantastic day.